What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Santal. It's October 26th. We are in the very first chapter of The Art of War, verse 14. With the ink-stained shirt, I've been thinking a lot about ink to paper lately and the power of the pen over the sword. But anywho, verse 14, chapter 1. The general that hearkens to my counsel and acts upon it will conquer. Let such a one be retained in command. The general that hearkens not to my counsel nor acts upon it will suffer defeat. Let such a one be dismissed. So, let's follow the art of war. Stay in leadership. This is more or less to yourself. If you're wanting to stay a leader and stay in command, you need to stay a student of the art of war. And we read last time in the alternate translation, leadership is a matter of intelligence, trustworthiness, humaneness, courage, and sternness. We talked a little bit about discipline, meaning organization, chain of command, and logistics. Master Sun says, every general has heard of these five things. Those who know them prevail. Those who do not know them do not prevail. Zheng Yu says that everyone has heard of these five things, but only those who deeply understand the principles of adaptation and impasse will win. So, man, this is awesome because like listening to other entrepreneurs and their podcasts and their successes, we're built for adaptability. We're built to pivot. We're built to make adjustments on the fly, but also the impasse. You have to conquer. You have to understand the principles of patience. You have to understand the principles of waiting, the principles of laying plans and not seeing them come to fruition until 3 to 5 to 10 years later. And so, Jing Yu just points out that little extra. Let us go to Master Sun saying, therefore, use these assessments for comparison to find out what the conditions are. That is to say, which political leadership has the way, which general has ability, who has the better climate and terrain, whose discipline is effective, whose troops are stronger, whose officers and soldiers are better trained, whose system of reward and punishment is clearer. This is how you can know who will win. A lot of the guys, there's almost like a whole page of reflection, so let's get through it really quick. Li Quan says a political leadership that has the way will surely have a military leadership that has intelligence and ability. Du Mu says, ask yourself which political leadership, your own or that of your enemy, is able to reject flatterers and draw close to the wise. Du Yu says, the way means virtue. It is first necessary to compare the political leadership of nations at war. Mei Yaochen says, the question regarding political leadership is, who is able to win the hearts of the people? Ho Yongqi says, the ancient classic of documents says, the one who treats me well is my leader, the one who treats me cruelly is my enemy. The question is, which side has a humane government and which side has a cruel government? Zhang Yu says, first compare the political leadership of the two nations at war, in terms of which one has the way of benevolence and good faith. Then examine the military leadership who has intelligence, trustworthiness, humaneness, bravery, and sternness. Now observe which has the environmental advantages. Cao Cao says that you should set up rules that are not to be broken. Do not fail to punish any offenders. Du Mu says when it comes to establishing rules and regulations, everyone high and low should be treated alike. I think that's important. Du Yu says compare whose orders are more effective, whose subordinates do not dare to disobey. Mei Yaochen says make everyone equal under the law. Wang Qi says see who is able to make rules clear and commands easy to follow so that people listen and obey. Du Mu reflecting on matters of strength and training. When superior and subordinate are in harmony, equally brave in battle, that makes for strength. Du Yu says, know whose armaments are more effective and whose troops are carefully chosen and well trained. As it is said, if soldiers do not practice day to day on the front lines, they will be fearful and hesitant. So you got to get after it every day. Whatever it is in life, business, anything. Your trade, your finances, your investing. If generals do not practice day to day on the front lines, they will not know how to adapt. Du Mu says, turning to the subject of punishments and rewards, rewards should not be out of proportion. Punishments should not be arbitrary. And Du Yu says, know whose system of rewards for the good and punishments for the bad is clearly defined. As it is said, if rewards are immoderate, there will be expenditure that does not result in gratitude. If punishments are immoderate, there will be slaughter that does not result in awe. Mei Yaochen says, when people deserve reward, this should be duly noted, even if you personally detest them. When people deserve punishment, this should not be forgotten, even if they are close to you. Mei Yaochen is like hardcore with it. Cao Cao says, summing up, by assessing these 7 things, you can know who will be victorious and who will be defeated. Mei Yaochen says, if you can find out the real conditions, then you will know who will prevail. Zheng Yu, and the last one, says, if you are superior in all of these 7 things, you have won before you have even done battle. If you are inferior in all of these 7 things, you have lost even before you go into battle. Therefore, it is possible to know the victor beforehand. Wow. That's a lot to reflect on, and I think they all kind of laid it out in their own versions, and you can dig a little deeper into those. Let's jump over to the Daily Stoic, October 22nd, 27th. We reap what we sow. Crimes often return to their teacher. Seneca, Thyestes, 311. It's ironic that Seneca would have one of his characters utter this line. As we know, for many years, Seneca served as the tutor and mentor to the Emperor Nero. There is a lot of evidence that Seneca was, in fact, a positive moral influence on the deranged young man, but even at the time, Seneca's contemporaries found it strange that a philosopher would serve as the right hand to such an evil person. They even used the Greek word tyrannicus, tyrant teacher, to describe him. And just as Shakespeare observed in Macbeth, bloody instructions which, being taught, returned to plague the inventor. Seneca's collaboration with Nero ultimately ended with the student murdering the teacher. It's something to think about when you consider whom to work with and whom to do business in life. If you show a client how to do something unethical or legal, might they return the favor to an unsuspecting you later on? If you provide a bad example to your employees, to your associates, to your children, might they betray you or hurt you down the road? What goes around comes around is the saying. Karma is a notion we have imported from the East along similar lines. Seneca paid a price for his instructions to Nero. As has been true throughout the ages, his hypocrisy, avoidable or not, was costly. So too will be yours. That is deep. Disturbing for some. I think this is just one of the many reasons that we need to continually focus on the art of war and standing tall and bringing all of this together, because we can't recognize those deceptions, those moments that we might be the student or we might be the teacher. And it's just important to remind ourselves, just like it just happened, of like, we are setting an example for those around us, whether it's coworkers, parents, brothers, anything like that. And it's up to us. And we're more or less, in my personal experience, a mirror. And whatever you put out into the world, whether it comes back to you in a year or 5 years or 10 years, at some point, that mirror happens to you. So always be aware of how you're acting and the examples you're setting, because when it's all said and done, what you do might come back to haunt you.